merry Monday or whatever day you're watching this. My name's Emily. I'm an art and jewellery maker. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be putting together some art supplies, an accumulation for things that I might want to take with me on a little plein air session so I can go off on my merry way without being hindered by not knowing what on earth to bring. So in this caddy, I've tried to make a selection of things that I find will be useful in terms of getting the textures and stuff that I want initially. I have no objection in coming home after a plein air session and finishing off pictures based on references. However, I want to make sure I've got enough to keep me going depending on what I'm painting or what kind of impression I want in that piece from reference. So I want to make sure I've got plenty to keep me going in that respect. I've got some neutral colours, different mediums, so I thought I'd go through those now. The first thing that I have selected are some neo colours. I believe all of these are the water soluble versions because I do find them a lot softer. I find them more user friendly, and I think for what I need them for in a plein air session, I want them to be quite easy to kind of lay a load of colour on. So I picked quite a few of these from my collection that I will reach for the most in my work anyway, based on colour palettes I enjoy, but also I think will be useful in like a neutral, botanical, plein air sort of landscape piece session. So the selection of colours I picked to take me through a plein air session are as followed: Sepia, charcoal grey. And I find the texture of these is really lovely to really get that sort of softness, a bit of kind of a mixed media feel on top of like wet media when it's dry. We've got light grey, Payne's grey. This is a newer one for me. I'm really enjoying using it so far. I'm happy to have this in the water soluble formula. We then have lemon yellow, which is one of my favourites. It's really zingy. Van Dyke brown. Another newer one, but I think this will be great to add a bit of warmth but still on the neutral spectrum. And this is English red, lime green. Those two together actually go really nice. Sahara yellow, light cobalt blue hue, olive, beige and cinnamon. And I think they'll be able to kind of take me through the sort of things I enjoy painting while out and about. I've got some zingier colours to really get some vibrancy, but a lot of neutral colours to kind of get a good amount of colour on there, different textures that hopefully will go nicely and layer over the top of others. I then have some more boring bits. So I have a washi tape if I want to get a sharp line or border, an eraser, a little grip, because sometimes my thumb and dexterity can be a bit questionable, so I thought this would be useful to take with me to make holding pencils a little bit easier, especially while I'm out and about. If I need one, can't as easily access one. Some bulldog clips to keep things in place in case it's windy, and some safety clips for that same reason. It's Britain, it can be very windy, especially if we're going out and about in more of like a rural setting, especially towards the Peak District. Because I do enjoy water-based mediums, and I think it'd be a great way to get some layers down for things like this, I thought I'd bring my water brushes with me in case I can't find a way of adding water to a piece and I can't necessarily bring a water pot with me. I think these will be quite useful. So I keep the water on there. There's a couple of flatter brushes which I thought were really useful, and one that's more like a round brush as well. They've got a lid which I think is useful, and they hold quite a bit of water as well, so I think they'll be fantastic for that. Obviously this has no water in it yet, but I will also take a little pot of water. I'm not going to take orange marmalade with ginger, although I would be tempted for a picnic. However, this will have water in it, and if I can use it and it's not I'm not doing it in my wheelchair and I can actually have a surface that I can rest things on, this will be useful for that. A pencil sharpener. I was going to take my Faber Castell one for the Polychromos because I do have a few Polychromos that I'm taking with me. However, this one I think is the easy one for things like the Caran dash and the Derwent. I think this is definitely more of like a sturdy one that I could take with everything. And it does sharpen quite well. It doesn't fracture as many pencils as, say, the usual sharpener in the Faber Castell ones. The Polychromos sharpener is fantastic in that one. However, this I think will be good. Rather than taking up some precious space in there with multiple sharpeners, I thought I'd take the one that I think is quite trusty. a pencil extender because I've got a couple of smaller pencils, and if I am using the colour a lot and I can't get to the edge, especially if this doesn't help, this will be useful for that reason. For highlights, I'm going to take my Uniball Signo gel pen, which is the creamy white because I find it a bit more opaque, and the Posca White 1MR, which is one of my favourites. So long as you shake it up and you get enough pigment mixed in there, it's really opaque. I do find sometimes it goes a bit watery, so you do need to give it a really good shake, activate it a couple of times with a few pumps, and then that does work really, really well. It's probably the one that I reach for time and time again because of that opacity. If I want something to be a bit softer, or a bit finer, like eyelashes and stuff, I'll use this. But when it comes to landscapes, I want to have the options, whether it's branches with this, but then some highlights on water. This would be really useful. I then have a couple of pigment pens, I suppose. I've got the Micron PN, which I find really useful for a fine tip. It's really it's quite sturdy, so with it being a plastic nib, I find it can really stand a bit of pressure, especially if I'm a bit more heavy-handed in the outside setting, trying to be a bit more deliberate with what I'm doing. This will be useful. And then for things like trees and stuff, I thought these will be useful, and shadows. So I've got my Pentel brush sign pen pigments in the grey and the sepia. I like the black one as well, but I think the black options I'll have will be finer, and one that can be like washed with a little bit more water, and then if I need to add a bit more black when I get back, I can. And I've also got a pencil crayon for black as well. I don't like to use too much black in my artwork. The sketchbook I'm going to take is one that I got recently from an art haul. Well, I didn't actually get it that recently. I got it in, I think, November, but I bought it, I included it in an art haul that was fairly recent. And I love this little size. It's nice and portable. It does fit in that Caddy. The Caddy's actually from B&M, and I think it cost about £3, and it's so useful. I got a bigger one, and this will just easily fit in the car. I can have it on my lap or near me when I'm in the wheelchair, and it just holds enough. It limits me from taking everything, like I'm not taking a massive 120ml tube of acrylic paint, for example. However, I've got enough room to experiment with what I want to take, but not so much room that I'm overwhelmed with so much space that I must fill. And then once I'm there, I'm overwhelmed with how much I want to use. So this is the Art Creations book. I haven't actually opened it yet, but I will be using this for my plein air work. And it's the really teeny size, 9 by 14 centimetres, and it's really, really useful size. I've got another one that I really enjoy using for like swatches and stuff, so this will be fab for that. I'll be going through this, it's my watercolour palette. But let me finish these bits in this bit, and then we'll go through the watercolours. So I've got a couple of the Ecoline brush pens, again from Talons. I think I've got the Warm Grey Light, which I think will be great to get some initial depth and texture before I go too deep in the other colours, and just to get a general feel for the shapes that I want to include. I think these will be really useful. And then I've got the black, because if there are some quite deep shadows, or if I'm doing forest work where I want to get some like depth in the ground and the earth, I think this will be useful. And it's being water based, I can mix it with a lot of water as well. And then I have some Tombow pens, which I'm going for the neutral colours, because I want to try and see how I work with those. I want to add the colours in more like, I suppose, like, not, I mean, is this wet media? I don't really know. In more of like the pencils and pastels, and then these will be like the base of the colour, even a way of like toning down the colour. So I could add like a bit of this brown with these to see if I can make like murkier tones within a forest. But so I've got the Warm Grey, I believe this is the Chocolate, and I think this is Sand. I love these. I like the fact there's a smaller tip if I want to get some more finer detail work. And then the brush pen, again, is really useful to cover a lot of area, but then still give you that precision with the finer nib. Now for watercolours, I've got this little case that I filled with like the sort of nano tape that you can get for false nails and things like that to keep things sturdy, and filled that. I have recently added some of these. They are still drying. the Cotman Chinese White. I believe this is the Schminker Shire Yellow. We have Schminker Glacier Brown. We have Aqua Bloom Art, I think that's pale pink. And then we have Ash Purple or Ash Mauve or something. We then have, let me get those colours up so I can actually tell you the exact colours. Pastel Pink, Purple Ash, Pastel Blue, and then this is the last Aqua Bloom Art one, and I believe this is Pastel Green. And then we have the more, not the handmade ones, the branded ones. And I think we have May Merry Blue Naples Yellow and May Merry Blue Raw Umber, Sennelier Grey, Schminker Glacier Green, Daniel Smith Appetite Green, Schminker Payne's Grey Bluish, Schminker Tundra Green, Schminker Tundra Violet, Schminker Shire Blue, and Sennelier, I think it's oh no, I think it might actually be Schminker, oh, I'm not sure, it's either Sennelier Mars Orange or Schminker Spinal Brown. I think it's the Mars Orange because I think the Spinal Brown is in another palette, but those I think I'm going to keep as my wet media, and I'll be using my water brushes for those, but I think they'll be really useful. They kind of cover all bases. I love the granulation. I think they really add a lovely sort of effect to more plein air work. They kind of do it quite quickly as well while the water's working. I think that covers all bases in that respect, especially because I want to use the watercolours first and then add on to that. I think they'll give me a good effect and, like I said, cover all bases. I'll point out as well anything that I have mentioned in this video. I will pop a link below. They will be affiliate links, so if you do use them I will gain a small commission, so just be aware of that. I will make sure that they are marked as the affiliate links as well if they are used with an asterisk or something, so just so you're aware. It's a great way of supporting my channel because I can use that commission into something more towards this channel. That's what I try to do, try to put that back into this channel with either more supplies or more equipment in that respect. So finally, we're going to go into the pencils. I've bought a lot of them because pencils are probably my favourite way to work in like on-site sort of paintings. So I'll try and do them in brand if I can get to them all. There's a lot of Polychromos, so maybe I'll do those last to make sure I've got them all. So first off, we have a Derwent blender. I love these. I think they're a great way of making all your colours kind of merge together, especially the waxy ones. I think they work quite well with. The pastel ones, I think you have to be a bit gentler because they will just brush away a little bit too quickly, but I do really like these. I think they're my favourite sort of blender pencils. I know is it Kohinoor do those as well, and maybe Caran Dash, but I really like these ones. I think I've used these since my A-levels, so love that. I then have my Derwent Coloursofts in soft pink, grey lavender and cream, and I think these will be great for like the softer tones, especially if there are some florals that I want to work with, or just a way of getting a bit of colour in like white. I think sometimes using these sort of colours to imitate white can be really useful to get that sort of dimension without actually just putting a load of white paint all over with very little sort of like I say, dimension. But these are quite great for that. I'm definitely going to sharpen all of these before I go as well, just to be nicely prepared. But I have a few of the Derwent drawings. Again, these are fantastic sort of neutral colours, so they'll be great for the plein air work. And I have Smoke Blue, Crag Green, Pale Cedar, which is one of my favourites, Brown Ochre and Light Sienna. Then have the Derwent Lightfast. I don't like to take too many of these because they are more expensive, and with it being sketchbook work, I'm not too worried about the lightfastness. It doesn't need to last in that respect. But again, I love the colours of these, so I think these will be great to take regardless. And the texture of these are fabulous. Another sort of different formula to try within the other work. So, and I have Strawberry, Chestnut and Mid Ultramarine. I think this will be great over the top of some greys for like a touch of blue sky. Similar to the Derwent Lightfast, I didn't want to take too many of these for the lightfastness, but again, I really like the formula, especially the white. I think it's probably one of the best whites that I've used, so I wanted to make sure I bought my favourite one for plein air, one that I can definitely rely on. And then the other ones I got are just the great sort of tones. So we have French Grey 10% and Payne's Grey 30%. We then have Light Cobalt Blue, which I think will work well with the mid ultramarine, again for the skies. And one of my favourites, it's a recent purchase, but I've been really enjoying it, and it's the Sepia. It's a really dark, deep brown, and I'm loving it. And then we have my trusty Polychromos, so let me go through these. I have the trusty white and black. Again, the white here is great because it's a bit more powdery, but this white's a lot waxier, so it's a bit sort of forgiving. It blends colours quite well if you want to just kind of add a little bit more of a paleness to them. Then have warm grey 6, I think that is, and warm grey 2. We then have light and I think medium flesh. We then have Venetian red, Caput Mortum, and burnt sienna. Did miss a little grey, and that's cold grey 2 there as well. I then have dark Naples yellow, dark cadmium yellow. I love adding luminosity and like sunbursts in landscapes, so I think that'll be useful for that. And then we have terracotta and raw umber. And then we have light cobalt turquoise, earth green, which is one of my favourites. It's quite a cult classic in the Polychromo line for a lot of people. And then chrome oxide green, which I love as well. And finally we have earth green yellowish and olive green yellowish. And that is what I'm going to take with me for a plein air session. I'm really excited. We're actually thinking for our anniversary this year, we're going to go somewhere in the Peak District, make a nice little picnic and just sit. I think my partner's going to take a puzzle book. We're going to bring some music with us or an audiobook that we both enjoy, and then just sit and watch the world go by, with hopefully somewhere that's like got a stream or a lake or something that I love. I love that sort of environment. It really calms me and cleanses my soul. But that is the selection of what I'm going to be taking. But that is the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video or like me, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you here and join me on all of my arty endeavours. I will update you on all of my plein air activities, and I'll probably go through some bits and bobs that I've been painting. I am also working my way through a sketchbook, and I'm really pleased at the journey that I am taking. I am growing and I am not trying to let the perfectionism get in the way. So hopefully a sketchbook tour may appear soon also. Or at the very least, some sketchbook sessions to hold myself accountable that I will continue with this sketchbook. I promise I will. I'd also love to know any of your plein air tips. I've not done it for a very long time. I think the last time I did it was about 3, maybe 4 years ago. And I have not done it being in a wheelchair before, so I'm a little bit apprehensive my partner will be with me. So if I do struggle with the terrain or need a little push on some grass, for example, I can get that support. As I've mentioned before, all of the products I have mentioned in this video will be linked in the description box below, and anything that is an affiliate link will be marked as such. My Etsy shop, Instagram, all of my links will also be linked below. But that is the end of this video. I really hope you have a truly magical rest of your day. Please stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!